Okay, guys, so this is just a little bit of footage that I found yesterday. I don't know how it popped up on my radar. I think my phone was giving me memories. You know how? Yeah, probably was. Yeah, the phone was giving me memories. Um, and this was November 28th, I believe, 2017. So we had purchased this property in 2016, and the the following year we had logging done, and that's what we're seeing here. And further along in the video, you're going to see I had gotten my first, what I called it, bigger chainsaw. I believe I called it bigger because I knew it wasn't huge or anything like that, but to me it was big. And it ended up being the Jonsered 2258. And I can remember I didn't know the right way to say Jonsered or Jonsered, and I called it Jonsered, just like everybody else does. You know, I was right there with y'all. But if you guys have a Jonsered and you're wondering how to say it, the proper pronunciation is Jonsered. But we're American, and it makes us feel funny in our crotches to say it that way. And so you can say Jonsered. You know, Jonsered. It's not Jones Red. It's not John's Red. It's Jonsered. Or if you want to feel funny in your crotch, say Jonsered, because the J in Sweden is like pronounced like a Y. Jonsered. Anyways, these guys, I can remember. So this is way back. We call this Gondor. If you're a fan of the Lord of the Rings, we got all of our pastures named after the Lord of the Rings. We got Fangorn Forest. We've got Bree, Buckleberry Ferry. We have the Shire. We have Rohan, and we have Gondor. Anyways, this is Gondor, way back, all the way to the end of our property, and I was really impressed with this skidder being able to just go in there and snatch up a big oak tree and pull it out. Now I got to get this out of the way. So the test that you're about to see coming up, I didn't have any clue about chainsaws, okay guys? Go easy on me. But I thought a brand new chain was a brand new chain. And they all, look at that skidder spinning. Anyways, they all were the same. If it was brand new, then it was brand new, and it cut exactly the same as every other brand new chain. That's what I thought.
That's probably really good for the soil, yeah.
Chains, oh, look at Irene, isn't she lovely?
Yeah. Like big.
Anyways, the chains are probably both. Actually, you might be able to tell right there. Hold on, let me back it up. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm looking at right there is the 460 Rancher. I can remember specifically going and buying a new chain for it, and I can almost guarantee that it's going to be a steel safety chain. It's going to be a full chisel, but it's going to be a safety chain. And the Jonsered is just going to have whatever came on at factory, which would have been a full chisel safety chain Oregon. So two very different chains. And I'll let you guys go ahead and watch from here and, cringe whenever I say some really stupid things about the chainsaws because I don't know any better. Yeah, have fun and watch.
Okay.
All right, so, hey guys. So, I've been really kind of stressing out over which bigger saw to get. It was between a Rancher, a Husqvarna Rancher 460, or maybe even a 465, and a Steel MS311. Anyways, really stressing about that. I was at Tractor Supply, and I know Jonsered, they've been good for a while, but something's a little different with them this time. I don't know what it is. Anyways, long short of it is, is I looked, and this Jonsered is actually made by Husqvarna. And it was on sale at Tractor Supply. This is a 2255, which means it's basically the 455 Rancher, the Husqvarna 455 Rancher. So anyways, it being on sale for $3.99, and they have a 30-day money-back warranty, so I figured I ought to try it. And so, because I have a hard time distinguishing between what I need and what I want, and I have a feeling that something that's made for a 20-inch bar, but would be capable in a pinch of running a 24-inch bar, that's probably what I need. So anyways, I got my buddy's 460 Rancher right here. Now he does have a 24-inch bar on there, and that's the only thing that's going to be a little bit unfair about this little challenge. We got a 20-inch bar on the Jonsered and a 24-inch bar on the Husqvarna here. But anyways, both of them have brand new Husqvarna chains, and they're ready to go. So I did have one of you. Oh, where's my safety glasses? Did they fall off? There they are. In my last chainsaw video, rightly, somebody kind of jumped my ass about wearing safety gear. So I got my old school safety goggles. Without further ado, I will start the test. All right. Both of them are warmed up the exact same amount. And we're going to do 2 cuts because I want this to be a quick video. So, let's do the Husqvarna first. It bogged down a little bit. I think it's because it's a 24-inch bar. I think it's a little bit too big for this saw, but anyway, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Huh.
Good thing they have a 30-day return policy.
Well, haha. Didn't have the boiler turned on, so the whole time I wasn't boiling the chain. Well, can't get mad at it for binding up right there because it's brand new and I didn't turn on the oiler. But this tree's big enough to where it definitely needs that 24-inch bar. So again, it's not that fair of a test. But as far as power goes, they seem to be exactly the same. Seems like I got a Husqvarna painted red and called Jonsered for $150 less. So we'll see. I'll use it for the rest of the day, and you know, at the end of this video, tell you what I thought. Cool.
All right, so in summary, what do I have to say about the saws? Oh, I'm coughing and everything, guys. What do I have to say about the saws? I didn't go back and do another video summarizing after using the saw for a whole day. Obviously, I liked it because I kept it. But I think in the video it showed me, it summed it up best. I was like, they're the same saw. So, you know, the 460 Rancher and the 455 Rancher, the amount of power difference between the two is so minuscule that you can't tell it by just simply running it. At least I couldn't. And I had come to the conclusion that, yes, that Jonsered 2255 was exactly a Husqvarna 455 Rancher. I am shocked that I even knew that a 465 Rancher even existed. Most people don't even know that, even people that are in the hobby. And clearly at this moment I was not. I was just getting started with it. I needed a bigger chainsaw than what I currently had. What I currently had, man, one would think that I'm sick or something. What I currently had was a Husqvarna 435. And I was completely happy with it. Completely. I was like, this is such a good saw. I love it. I love this saw. But I did realize that I needed a bigger one for some of the bigger wood that I was starting to get into, seeing how I had just purchased this property. Those logs that I'm cutting on are, I think they call it slash wood, that they have no interest in whatsoever, and so it just gets left on your property. Well, I'm like, yeah, man, that's my firewood. And so that's what I'm doing with all these logs that they left behind. They left so much behind, and there was so much I was unable to get to that just got wasted, just sit there rotting. But anyways, And my neighbor, I can remember, oh God. So my neighbor, Tony, is a sweetheart. He really is. He really is a sweetheart. But he's lived his life different than I have. And just say that, right? And I purchased this property. Well, he had lived out here for 20 years, not having a single neighbor, and being able to do whatever he wanted on both sides of the road. You know, I bought on the opposite side of him this big parcel. And, well, he had a little trail cut. There's a lake. So there's his property, my property with a nice big lake. Okay. So he just cut through on my property to go down to that lake and go fishing. Well, I show up and I'm like, no, you can't. I'm putting up fences, dude. You know, we're going to have livestock. I'm not going to make a gate just for you to drive down to the lake. And whenever it's not even your lake, you're trespassing being there, you know? And so I'm not going to make specific provisions just for you to drive your four-wheeler down to the lake, go around my property. Well, I mean, well, I don't know if he understood it as much as he accepted it. He definitely accepted it. Well, you know, this guy bought that property. Things are changing, you know. But it was a slow road for him to understand that he no longer reigned over this entire dominion. It was an eye-opening experience for him. So like, I guess the loggers, whenever they were logging my property, another person and my neighbor Tony had talked with the loggers and made up some deal, you know, make us a pile of wood over here so that we can cut firewood for the winter and blah blah blah. And they never asked me anything about it. Well, you know, I wake up one morning or come out here, because I wasn't living out here at that time. I come out and I'm like, what the hell? These people are on my property cutting the wood that the loggers left behind, you know? So I'm walking down there and, you know, my steam, you know, I'm mad. Mad. You know, I didn't have my fence set up yet, but I had a clear fence line, a temporary setup with T-posts and stuff. And they knew they were on my property cutting what was essentially my wood. And, you know, Tony cuts me off at the pass and he's like, hey man, I told those guys it would be all right to get that wood. And I was like, you don't have any right to do that. This is not your property. And he's like, well, hell, it used to all be mine. I said, no, it never was. You just were a permanent trespasser. So it was never your property. Never. All right. And now you have a clear owner that's saying, get the fuck off my land. And so it's a good thing that he was an older gentleman. Because if he had been my age, it would have been, it would have been a fight right there. A bad one. It would have been a bad one. You with me? So I was heated, horribly bad. So if you guys don't have property and you go onto someone else's property and you can't understand why they get so upset, because I've done this before too. I was fishing at a man's small little pond one time. And, you know, I didn't think nothing of it. This was, to me, just some random pond out in the woods. And anyways, he was extremely upset about that. And I just didn't get it. Come on, share, you know. Well, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know that I'm not going to drink my beers and leave the bottles laying on the ground. He doesn't know that I'm not going to come back with 10 other people showing them this nice little fishing hole. He doesn't know me at all. And so whenever you go on someone else's property and they get all upset, and you're like, geez, I don't see what the big deal is. Well, you don't see what the big deal is because it's not a big deal to you, but it is a big deal to them. So stay off other people's property, and don't be a trespasser. And you know, I mean, I had a few stories to deal with whenever I first moved out here, because this place had sat vacant for so long. You know, it had been vacant since the early 90s. And so people vandalized it. People did whatever they wanted to on this property. And, you know, it was no big deal to them because this was a vacant property that was owned by a defunct retirement home. You know, it was, they never thought twice about it at all. Well, I come out here one time, and there's a Toyota 4Runner parked on my property. And this is after the logging, after a temporary fence has been put up. They snaked around the fence and everything, so they knew that ownership had changed. They knew. And at that time, I did not have a handgun. And, you know, I have my thoughts about guns. And I'll go ahead and tell them here. I like guns, no problem. You know, but they've never been a hobby of mine. And I think that's the big problem with all the gun issues in this country is they're people's hobbies. And so they have this love and passion for them, like I have chainsaws. And whenever the idea that, ooh, somebody's going to take your guns, you know, they get scared to death because that's their passion, that's their hobby. And nobody's taking your guns, guys. We just want some gun control. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to get all kinds of weird comments, I know. But anyways, I didn't have a handgun because I had no need for a handgun. I had shotgun, rifle, 4-wheel drive. But at that moment, whenever I saw that 4Runner and I was strapping my knives on my hip, I had to have this setup, hunting knives, there's 2 of them in there. I was going, yeah, I need to get a handgun at this point. But anyways, I got those. They were fishing, and in summary, you know, I mean, when I get mad, people know it. You understand? People back up. Angry dogs back up. When I get mad, you don't come around. You get what I'm saying? But I told him, I was like, listen, next time I see that 4Runner coming on my property, I'm not going to say a word to you. You're just going to come back to a 4Runner with 4 flat tires, and I'm going to own a 4Runner. It'll be mine. You know, you won't get it back. But anyways, you know, I've had some issues with trespassers. Not much. Because once you put the word out and they see that side of you, that word spreads and they don't come back. But, you know, yeah. How did we get here? I don't know.